That's it from the side, ref.
Welcome back to another episode of In From The Side, and in this one we're going to talk about the World Rugby Awards that happened in Monaco over the weekend, Sunday night. Welcome back, Matthew Rhodes.
G'day, mate.
Right, let's dig into this. Do we want to talk about
Some controversy.
Controversy, just get it off your chest.
Mate, there were some picks in the World 15 that look good players, all of them, but I don't know if they'd be in the team of the year. For me,
we're going to go through the team.
We'll go through,
and we'll debate the positions.
Yeah. So,
but again, when you pick a World Team of the Year, you need to pick a coach. So I don't know how you pick a 15's Team of the Year and then pick a French coach to go in.
Well, it's not so much that it's
the
a
sevens
French
coach. The sevens
exactly.
coach.
It's a sevens coach. And again, we talked about this before. For me, who am I? But when he won the award, I was like, who? And I know that he's taken his sevens team and they won a gold medal in their own home Olympics.
With the best rugby player in the world.
With
playing
arguably,
sevens for 6 months.
Exactly. Like Antoine Dupont goes across, plays sevens, takes his team, they win the gold. Fair play to you. But I don't think that constitutes winning Coach of the Year. And I think it's an absolute travesty. I'm just speaking from the heart here that Rassie didn't win it. So that's the second time that a South African coach back-to-back has been snubbed. Nina by last year got snubbed after winning the World Cup. It seems as though no matter what you do as a coach, your win ratio and your ability to get your teams to beat everyone else doesn't feature.
Well, I mean, it does make you question two things. Firstly, how do they quantify what makes a good coach and how do they decide who the best coach is? That's number one. And the second one is how important are these awards really? Because I can promise you, Rassie would much rather have a World Cup in the cabinet than just Coach of the Year.
We've got everything organised. It might look democratic to them, but fuck it.
He doesn't care if he won it or not.
100%. If you're Rassie, you're sitting at home, you don't care that you haven't been picked as World Coach of the Year, even though everyone in the world knows that you should be, including yourself, because he knows that his wins and the way his team is at currently and what they are doing on the field and how they're performing is the evidence that he needs that he's world number one. So
he's been enemy number one for World Rugby, to be very honest. Every single time he does something interesting with the Springboks, they change the laws. We call a scrum from a free kick, change the laws, you can't do that anymore. We introduce the bomb squad, or just how we use the bench. Bill Beaumont comes and criticizes the number of replacements that we use. Rassie replies to that and criticizes Bill Beaumont, and I think this was the final snub from World Rugby. So Bill, bye-bye, don't let the door hit you on the way out. We're not going to miss you.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
No, it's just bollocks. And I say that with love and respect. Who are the people that are voting for World Coach of the Year, and why are they voting with Braille as a form of voting paper? Clearly they're all blind. Even their guide Labrador dogs are looking at them going, "Are you mental?
Are you mental?"
They would be picking Rassie. So if everyone can see it, even the guide dogs, then come on, World Rugby, step up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, let's park that. Rassie didn't win it.
Got it off my chest.
Got it off your chest. Who cares? I don't even know who the guy was that won Coach of the Year.
Can't even tell you his name. I can't.
But a big congrats to Wallace Atiti, Breakthrough Player of the Year. We expected that, and it's well deserved.
We called it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, he deserves it. He has just been outstanding all year, and so Sasha was great. Unfortunately, he got injured. Maybe he would have shone through this Autumn Nation series and given it a bit of crack. But I think that's deserving.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the big one, World Player of the Year, our man, pieter-steph du Toit. I did call it at the beginning of the year. I thought pieter-steph, after all his man of the match performances, he is going to win it. Cheslin came in with a great form towards the end of the season, so it could have gone to either of them.
Yeah.
Yeben was in with a shot, but I thought it was a two-horse race between pieter-steph and Cheslin. And pieter-steph, I can't complain about that.
No.
He deserves it. What a player.
Yeah, amazing, and fair play to him. As you said, I think 6 or 7 man of the match performances over the year. He is, and this is I think interesting for me, which we'll get to. We're going to get to our world team of the year, our collective world team of the year. But for me, pieter-steph is always the first person I put on the team sheet.
Absolutely.
So for that reason alone, maybe that's what Cheslin as well. Like, you're looking at them, you're like, I want both those players playing on the field.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm happy. Had it gone to Cheslin, I'm happy. I'm super stoked for Pieter-Steph, and congratulations to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I I kept my eye on social media the last day or two. I haven't seen one comment say, "Oh, he didn't deserve it," or "Why did Cheslin not get it?" Like, everyone's happy internationally. I think no one will question that selection. So that makes up for Rassie being slighted.
Anyone who's anyone in rugby as a fan knows the name of Pieter-Steph du Toit.
Yeah.
What's the coach of the Sevens? Never mind.
No
we'll
idea.
move on.
I haven't. I
We'll
still don't
move
know.
on.
I tried to remember it.
Just
I
putting a
still
little
don't
bit
know.
more salt in that.
No, it's okay. Pieter-Steph deserves it. He's now in that echelon of world greats. Only the 4th player to win the World Player of the Year twice. So again, that's a massive achievement in itself. I don't think we realize how good he is. The day Pieter-Steph stops playing,
it's a
and
sad
we
day.
look back on his career, we're just going to recognize greatness. He's the best of the best.
Yeah, and rightly so. He's World Player of the Year. Whatever you want to say about any of the other contenders, rightly so. Even Kellen Doris, I think, was included in the nominations, but Pieter-Steph stands head and shoulders above. And like I say, he's the first name that you put on that game sheet.
Absolutely.
So long may his legs and his heart and his engine keep going, because we never want to see him retire.
Never ever. Yeah, he needs to play until he's 40.
Yeah.
Okay, we can rave about Pieter-Steph for the next half an hour, but let's move on to the World Dream Team of the year. That's why we're doing this video, is to talk about all the positions and who got selected by World Rugby and who missed out. So where do we start? Lou said Oxenchair, best prop in the world.
For me, he is.
Absolutely.
I think that's a deserving call, rightly so. I think he should have been one of the nominations for World Player of the Year, in my opinion. And maybe Kalen Doris got in there because they couldn't have 4 South Africans.
Of course they could.
They could have.
What's wrong with that?
But yeah, old Bill as a leaving.
Well, World Rugby is they're based in Dublin, right? So they were never not going to pick an Irish guy.
Yeah. But so Ox misses out, and I think I'm right in saying no prop has ever won World Player of the Year.
I don't think any prop's ever been nominated.
Yeah.
A prop has never even got a nomination for World Player of the Year, and there's been some good ones over the years. So we are exactly. So we are starting a petition on this show. 2025 is going to be the year of Oxenchair.
Yeah.
If he stays injury free, let's hope he gets a nomination.
So he definitely deserved that selection.
But not just for his scrumming, his all-round play. Like, if you see how he carries and he does the odd pass, like he's a link man, he's a complete player.
Yeah.
His defense is on point. He doesn't miss a tackle. He's been awesome.
Yeah.
I think a couple of honorable mentions from Argentina. We both think Thomas
Gallo.
Gajo, he was really good. Angus Bell has been one of the standout performers
In the
for
Aussie
Australia.
team. Yeah. No, for the last couple of seasons. He's young still, but he's been a beast.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Worthy mention to him and Andrew Porter from Ireland, who has been around for a couple of years now, but he's consistently done well in the front row. But no disputing World Rugby selection.
Oxenchair.
Hooker was an interesting one because World Rugby picked a South African, Malcolm Marx, but neither me or Matt thought that Malcolm was the best hooker in 2024.
Yeah, he's a great impact player. He's a fantastic hooker in his own right. He plays exceptionally well. He's part of the bomb squad, or if he's starting. But he and Bongi, I think, are as good as each other.
Yeah.
And so,
he's probably more effective off the bench than Bongi. I don't see Bongi as a bomb squad player necessarily, but I do see Malcolm as someone coming on with 30 to go, getting turnovers, being a demon in the tight loose.
Yeah. For me, again, great player in his own right, and I love the fact that he's a Springbok, but I don't know if he's the best number 2 in the world right now.
Who do we think was the best 2?
Personally, I think Cody Taylor.
Yeah, totally agree.
He had an outstanding year. He's a leader in that team, and he's just sensational. He is Mr. Consistent. You know what you're going to get from him, and he's just awesome.
Yeah. No, Cody Taylor, again, like you say, consistency. Like, he owned that jersey. I think in New Zealand, maybe a lot of people thought, he's coming towards the end of his career, very much like a Dane Coles. But he just stood up and he's been dominating. I think another one for France, Peter Movaka.
Yeah.
He's been awesome. Since the World Cup, he's been really good.
And like
he deserves a mention.
And like you said before, doesn't get the accolades that maybe he should.
No.
He just goes about his business really quietly. Got a good try last week. But he's just solid. Like a really dynamic player.
Yeah. So we went with Cody Taylor in the place of Malcolm Marx. At tight head, I was happy with Lomax. I think he was one of the better players for New Zealand. You didn't quite agree.
Well, no. You called last week and you said that he's been, a fantastic player all year, and he has. For me, I just think that there are a couple of other props that pip him to the post. In particular, Frans Malherbe, I think is. It's unfortunate that he's been injured this year. Didn't come on the tour.
Yeah.
But he for me is outstanding. He's just solid. And then someone who often comes on part of the bomb squad, Vincent Koch, I thought is an outstanding shout.
Absolutely, and he proved that he can play both sides of the scrum when need be. So yeah, Koch has been great.
Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible. I agree with you on France. I think Frans Malherbe is, again, one of those guys that just does his job, makes his tackles, very good in the tight loose, solid scrummer. That's where he dominates. But
as a prop, right, he's just, what you're going to get. Scrumming is such an art form. You hear Ox talk about it, a couple of the sort of techniques, the strategy, when to, allow someone at the hit and then you push. Just all those kind of like dark arts things that we talk about often. And Frans Malherbe is, the key to that. He just understands scrumming, 101. And so I think if you're any other prop in the world and you're coming up against France, you're having a tough day.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, who would you pick if you had to pick one of the players for World Team of the Year?
I'd go France.
Okay, you'd go Frans Malherbe. So would I, but I'm fine with Tyrell Lomax at tight head. I don't have an issue with that. He's been good.
Yeah.
Number 4 lock, do we even discuss it? Is there even anyone else that comes into the conversation? Jeben Etzebeth, easily the best 4 on the planet. No issues there?
No issues.
Okay, let's move on. Easy. Jeben deserves it. He's been fantastic the whole year. Number 5, they went with Tyke Byrne. There were a couple of guys that we thought, maybe were in with a shout. Ergies Snyman, I know he was injured for a big part of the season, but since he's been back, he's been sublime. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And a guy that I thought doesn't get a mention that often, that just, again, quietly goes by his business, is George Martin of England. But we couldn't really think of anybody else that stood out. So Byrne, to his credit, deserves his place, whether it's on the flank or at lock, because he can play both like pieter-steph. But he's been really good. He deserves it.
Tyke Byrne, if not Argia or George, then Tyke Byrne is in there. So those are the 3 in the mix, I think.
Yeah, okay. So good selection by World Rugby. They did something right. Picked the 2 best locks. 6 was an interesting one. They picked Pablo Matera, who we know how good he is. I'm not disputing how good Pablo Matera is. He's a fantastic player. He had a little bit of an up and down season because he combines flashes of brilliance with like flashes of lunacy where he loses his head. He gets hot-headed. He gets a yellow card. I don't know. He had an inconsistent, indifferent season. At times he's been really good, like the one try that Carrera scored against us. He was instrumental, but a little bit up and down. I was just surprised to see him at 6. Given the fact that we have Wallace Hatiti, who was Breakthrough Player of the Year and awesome for the All Blacks, Rob Valentini, who's just been consistent, and another one for me was Shannon Cunningham South of England, who again deserves a mention.
Yeah. I just feel like this is the token inclusion, the Argentinian inclusion. I don't know if they pick any other Argentinians in the team? No. So maybe this is them going, we need someone from Argentina, otherwise, we're going to get it in the ear. He's a good player, but like you say, he's had an up and down season. So what warrants them including him in the team of the year? I don't know. Especially when they pick Wallace Atiti as the breakthrough player of the year amongst all the other breakthrough players in that position. And it'll come back to this. If you have Matera or Satiti and you've got one to pick for the game, who are you going with? I'm going with Satiti.
Based on 2024 form, Satiti.
Not based on his previous career.
No. Matera is a fantastic player.
Correct.
We're not saying he's a bad player. He's a world-class, awesome player.
But just in this year...
If you compare him to Satiti, Satiti's better.
Outstanding.
Absolutely. I second that. Okay. 7, I don't even think we need to. We can just skip over 7 because there's only one player really that features, and that's pieter-steph.
Yeah.
So happy with his inclusion. Number 8, they went with Caelan Doris, which I think is the right choice given the fact that he was nominated for World Player of the Year, but so many players that were in contention. Who were some of those?
For me, I think obviously Jasper Wiese has played outstandingly well, especially in the last few games. All year he's done well, both in terms of international as well as for his club. But for me, Julian Savia was the standout 8 throughout the entire year, and I thought it was again, Caelan Doris being included as Player of the Year nominee. Maybe right that they gave him his position within the world team, but I think if I'm Julian Savia, Ardie Savia, sorry.
Ardie Savia.
Yeah, if I'm Ardie Savia, I'm sitting there thinking I've been snubbed.
Yeah, maybe. He had a good season. I think a couple of other honourable mentions is Harry Wilson, who had an indifferent year at the start of the year, but finished really strong on the tour, although he was injured against England. I think he didn't play. And then another great player was Ben Earl. I keep talking about him, but for England, he's been really consistent, really dynamic. I know there's a big call in England to play Jack Willis. He doesn't make the squad because someone like Ben Earl is dominating that 8 jersey. I mean, look, it is between Doris and Savia. Don't mind Ardie there. I don't mind Doris there. He was nominated for World Player of the Year, so, good on him.
Yeah.
Scrum off was an interesting one because we both felt that Jamison Gibson Park got there by default because Antoine Dupont played 7s for the majority of the season, so no real competition.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's not as good as Dupont.
He is a good player, and he's played well for the Irish in that team. But I think that there are as good players at 9 in other teams, so nothing really stands out for Jamison Gibson Park over and above the other people that he would be contending for that position with. The standout player in World Rugby at 9 is Dupont.
It still is Dupont, even if he doesn't play the Six Nations.
Yeah.
And he only plays the end of year tour. He's that good that I think it's unquestionable. A couple of mentions to Gonzalo Bertranu from Argentina. He's been consistent. Grant Williams didn't, get as many chances as he did, but when he played, like against England, he was outstanding.
Yeah.
Scored the match winner against the All Blacks. Like, he's a man for the big moments. I hope to see more of him in 2025. I know Russie's got a rotation policy, but Grant needs to play more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Cam Roygaard was injured for the majority of the season, only went on the tour now at the end of the year, scored 2 great tries 2 weeks in a row. He seems to be the number 1 choice in New Zealand, and he's a fantastic talent coming through. And then a big one, we don't talk about Georgia often enough, but that is, with Argentina, they're slowly becoming like my second and third favorite teams. But Vasil Lobzanidze is the scrum off and captain for Georgia, who just scored a couple of great tries. They've got a quick back line, and he's like the catalyst to get those guys going.
Gets them on the right foot. Yeah.
And he's been awesome, so I think a good shot. But we both agree, Antoine Dupont.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, fly off was the one that really made our head scratch.
Yeah.
I don't know, is someone watching the rugby that we are not watching? Because as South Africans, we don't really rate D-Mac as a fly off. Not as a starting fly off, maybe when he comes off the bench.
And they seem to want to persist with him at 10. Look, he's good, right? But is he the best 10? We've said this so often. He's not the best 10 in New Zealand. Beauden Barrett is, and he proved it this last weekend. I think Beauden Barrett was outstanding. Beauden hasn't been at his best this year, and so maybe, and with an eye on, the next World Cup, maybe Razor's trying different sort of strategies, seeing what works. But you can't be the second best 10 in your country and then get picked as 10 for the world best team. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
But what is interesting is, like, fly-off's one of those positions where there's no standout player. You look at any country and it's like, yeah, that guy's good. Maybe we've got an option here, but it's like there was an era where Dan Carter dominated that position. You would never question his inclusion in a team like this. Currently, there's like 10 guys you can probably pick that can fill the number 10 role. I think from a South African point of view, the fact that Pollard didn't start all the games, he didn't play consistently, probably, counted against him because of
Again,
the rotation policy.
That rotation policy.
Yeah. But again, we spoke about Satiti getting it because he was Breakthrough Player of the Year. Sasha was nominated. So if you were going to give it to anyone, at least give it to someone that was nominated for an award.
Again, I think had he come on the autumn tour and played well over these last 4 or 5 weeks, he would have been maybe someone that they would have included. But the fact that he's been injured, they've gone with DMAC. Now, for me, again, I think this is one of those token nominations because he's played 10 this year. He's a better fullback, but
agreed.
The fullback position is already owned by another Kiwi, which we'll get to, in Will Jordan. And so I feel like this is the consolation of them going, well, we can't make him 15 because Will Jordan's firmed that position up. We can't not keep him in the team, so we'll make him 10. And I don't think that's the right way to choose who's the best 10 in the world. So, for me, I think if you're going on current form, Marcus Smith and Finn Russell have been outstanding over the last few weeks and throughout this entire year. So it would have sat better with me if I'd seen one of those names ahead of DMAC.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would give it to Finn Russell purely because England had an opportunity to beat New Zealand in New Zealand, and Marcus Smith had an off day with a boot. So for me, he didn't quite have that BMT to pull it through when they were the better side on the day. I think someone like Finn Russell, if you have the right pack in front of him, and you're looking at this pack that's been selected, I think he can do magic things. So It pains me to say, but I do agree with you. I think Finn Russell and Marcus Smith are the two standout fly-offs currently in World Rugby. I know that like Pollard's class is permanent, and hopefully we see more of him next year. But I think another worthy mention, honourable mention, is Thomas Albanos from Argentina. He's been good, played very well against us in that loss against Argentina, so he deserves a mention.
Instrumental in how they've played this year, and again, they beat New Zealand, they beat Australia, they beat South Africa. They've come close to beating other top tier nations as well. So, and with a good 10 general pulling the strings, a lot of the time it's down to him and a few others in the team doing that. So
who are we giving it to? Finn Russell?
I think Finn Russell over Marcus Smith, only simply because of what you said there about his form down in New Zealand. But on current form, they're both as good as each other. Yeah,
and I also think I'll blame the coaches because Gregor Townsend is giving Finn Russell the platform to play his game. Whereas with Marcus Smith, you almost feel like he's been coached into a box under Steve Borthwick. So we'll give it to Finn. Left wing was an interesting one. They picked James Lowe, which I can't really dispute because he's a great player. He's not just a finisher. His kicking game is really strong. He kicked some great 50-22s that we saw this year. Defensively, he's really strong. So I can't question that. But if you look at left wing, we had Caleb Clark, BL Biarri from France, who's really good. Faye Weboso, Manny Faye Weboso. Duan from Scotland, Carreras from Argentina, Monty Ioane, and Kurtley Orense. You could have picked any of those players, and I would have said, yeah, okay, they maybe deserve their spot because there's just so much talent on the left wing.
Yeah, tough. So on that particular selection, World Rugby, they had it tough. And so I agree with you. James Lowe is a great player. Every time he makes really good decisions in defence. He's really good attacking, also good with ball in hand kicking for territory, and he is an all-round player. And so not unhappy with that selection, but like you say, so much skill and capability in that it's hard to pick one person over another.
Yeah.
If gun to head, who would you pick?
I'm okay with Lowe.
Yeah.
I'm okay with him there. I can't dispute it. Again, I can't single out anyone for any reason over him because he's been really good. He's finished great tries. I think his all-round game is really good. Very solid under the high ball. Chases really well when they kick. Puts opposition backlines under real pressure. He's a threat. So I don't question him. I would have loved to see someone like Kurtley there because he deserves a lot of credit.
This is what I was going to say. If you rewind what you've just said about James Lowe, you could apply that pretty much in context to Kurtley and or pretty much anyone else in that team.
Yeah, maybe
in that
Duan.
selection.
Duan's maybe the other one.
But that's it. Like, good under the high ball, good in attack, good in defense, makes good decisions, joins the line well, good kicking game. Like, all of these guys are good. So I think if you're a Kiwi supporter, you're wondering why Caleb Clark wasn't picked. If you're French, Biel Berry. English, Faye Waboso.
Well, they picked a Kiwi on the left wing, so I think the Kiwis will be okay with that. Same as Scrumov.
Saying that though, he doesn't have the greatest name in New Zealand because he now lives over in Ireland and at least among the Kiwi mates that I know. So James Lowe is, by all accounts,
That's
an Irish
interesting.
boy.
That's interesting because I don't mind the South Africans playing for other countries. It's like we're slowly but surely taking over the world.
Sure,
you know?
and
one
we support
fundamental at a time.
One fundamental at a time. And on that, so if your player, so in any of the countries that you support, if your player is any of those lads that we've just nominated, you'd go, yeah, why wasn't he the choice?
Yeah,
so
true.
I think they're all at a similar level. Someone has to win it.
Yeah, okay. But James Lowe got it. Good on him. Well done, James. Centres, fantastic to see De Allende and Jesse as a combo, the most experienced Springbok centre combination of all time, getting the recognition. I can't fault that. They've been fantastic. They've been awesome. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jesse's played every game this year. And he's just continued that form from 2023. When Lucanio got injured, Jesse got an opportunity to be the starting centre. He's never let that jersey go. And Damien, again, he doesn't get talked about.
Enough.
And a lot of people are saying that now. They're like, nobody's talking about him. I can't remember who it was. One of the New Zealand pundits said he's in the same league as Nonu, which, I mean, that's high praise.
That's
because Ma Nonu is probably the greatest 12 that's ever played the game. Damien is right up there. He's been phenomenal, and he showed that he's not a one-trick pony. Just by taking crash balls, he can swing the ball if needs be and break a tackle. So
boys in the team rate him as having the best pass.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And we saw that with Colby's try against England, right? It was beautiful.
Correct. So both those lads deserving of their selection, and actually for World Rugby to do that, to nominate them both as the pairing is evidence of what they've been doing. Throughout the entire year, not just in special moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some worthy mentions at 12. I quite like Chocobares. I think he's been really good and consistent. He didn't play on the tour this year. And another one that doesn't always get a mention is Sione Tuipolutu for Scotland, who's just been fantastic the entire season. Also, really good player.
Also stepped up as captain as well. He's taken it on board, on his shoulders. And he's just leading from the front.
But he brings that little bit of grunt that Scotland needs, right? He's in your face. We saw that hit from Suayali'i on him. And when he went off, he's like in your face, like, yeah, is that the best you can do? And I like that. I like that. It's like, that's what Scotland need, And Robbie Henshaw, I think, is worth a mention as well. And so is Bandiaki. At outside centre, I thought Len Ekitau stepped up this season. He's been really good. Lucio Sinti, that combination with Chocobares just tore defences to pieces at times. Gary Ringrose, and then a big one for me, Hugh Jones, ex-Stormer boy. He's been awesome for Scotland. We saw it on the weekend against Australia. Really fantastic player. He was in the Scotland team, and then he sort of got dropped, and he fell out of favour, and he's back with a bang. He's just so good.
His link-up play is amazing. He charges at the line. He makes really good decisions. And having him, playing that 13, it brings him those outside backs. And when you've got people like Darcy and Duan either side of you, it makes them look outstanding. They're outstanding players in their own right. But when you've got a man bringing them on and delaying the passes and making the right choices and passing at the right time and putting people into space, he's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. 14, I made my notes. I just looked at my notes. I literally said the rest can off because there is nobody else.
No.
Right? Cheslin, the man,
the king.
Could have been World Player of the
Could
Year.
have been.
He's in a rich vein of form, and interestingly enough, he's 31. So he's not, he's not a spring chicken anymore, but he is playing like a young 21-year-old, full of energy. I'll never get tired of seeing that step. It's just a thing of beauty.
But not only that though. Everything. He is the complete,
he's a complete player. He's the complete player.
The step, the defense, under the high ball, just
throws in at the scrum. Throws in at the line out. He can place kick if need be, like if you need a backup. There's nothing that he can't do. And a lot of people are now saying, well, everyone's talking about Dupont as potentially the greatest player, but Cheslin does stuff that Antoine Dupont dreams of.
So I've said this for a while now. A lot of people going, Dupont, Cheslin. I think Cheslin's the better player because he's the better all-round player. They're both outstanding in their own right. But again, we're talking about DuPont and Cheslin, as the best players in the world, and yet DuPont doesn't make the world player of the team. He makes our team, not the world team. So, but Cheslin, without a doubt, is the number one for that position.
Yeah, absolutely. Not debatable. Okay. At fullback, they went with Will Jordan. We can't disagree.
No.
Best fullback on the planet, easily.
Man, what is his
It's
return?
sick. It's sick. 38 tries in 41 tests. That is insane.
Unbelievable. Like, if he's on the field, you're getting a try. That's just the way it goes.
He just reads the game so well. He's got a feel for the ball on attack. He sees space where other people don't see space. I never thought I'd say this because me, Christian Cullen is the greatest fullback of all time. He's got a better strike rate than Cullen. And it's not against the Tongas and Uruguays and these types of teams. He scores against the Springboks and England and France, you name it. He'll get you a try almost every game. It's just unreal. He's been doing it consistently year after year. And at some point, he's going to win World Player of the Year, I think.
He's got time ahead of him. He's no, as you say, he's still a bit of a spring chicken. So we've still got a few years left to watch him razzling, dazzling on the field.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to it. But I think a couple of honourable mentions. Apelele Fassi really stepped up this year, made the fullback position his own. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do when that Damien comes back. But he's been really good. Blair Kinghorn for Australia has been consistent. Got man of the match on the weekend.
For Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blair Kinghorn for Scotland.
What did I say?
You said for Australia.
Oh, against Australia.
Against Australia.
Well, for Scotland. And then Thomas Ramos. He's been consistent again over the last couple of years, really good. Very special mention to Juan Cruz Malia, who, again, we don't talk about the RGs enough. Consistently a threat on attack, scored some fantastic tries, scored a beautiful try against Ireland the other day. And then, again, another Georgian, we have to mention them, David Niniashvili, one of the Villies, the many Villies in the team.
So good.
He's awesome.
He reads the game so well. He's so quick. And he plays with just passion. You wish you could bottle it. Like, if you could, we'd all be richer for it.
But like on the counter, I dare you to find a fullback on the planet that counters like that guy. Like, he finds space in the smallest of gaps, and he's so quick. Loved watching him play. So, fantastic. But we're happy with Will Jordan. He deserves it at 15.
Correct.
Yeah, so that is our thoughts on the World Rugby Dream Team of 2024. Give us your thoughts. Who do you think deserved a mention? Who didn't we talk about? What would your team look like? Leave your comments down below. Give us a like. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. TikTok. We're everywhere. Okay?
All the socials.
All the socials. Just go and look for us, Real Rugby. Thank you for your support. We really do appreciate it. Share this with your mates. We'd love to grow this channel. And we'll see you again next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.